New York winters are always long and cold, especially on those nights when she's waiting for answers. Haley stood at the kitchen window, looking out at the seemingly unreal world outside, painted with neon lights and snow. Since Brandon left for Los Angeles, the villa seemed to have returned to a brief period of peace, but her heart was in turmoil like never before. The anonymous text from last night still flashed on her phone. Your choice brings danger. Those words, like a cold snake, coiled around her heart again and again. She didn't know where the threat came from, Richard, Brandon, or some stranger, lurking in the shadows. Everything in the past was as hazy as fog. While she was lost in thought, Alexander came downstairs. He remained composed, but a hint of fatigue and hesitation etched itself between his brows. Linda pretended not to notice, and continued to polish the silverware intently. Haley, have you had breakfast? Alexander asked softly. Not yet, not very hungry. When she turned around, she accidentally knocked over the coffee cup on the table, and the coffee splashed on the back of her hand. You've been distracted lately. Alexander wiped the coffee off her face, his tone gentle, but with a hint of concern. What happened? Haley thought for a moment, then finally mustered the courage to ask, can I talk to you about the past and your ex-girlfriend? Alexander paused, looking at her intently, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. He led her to the study and closed the door. The heavy door blocked out the clamor of the outside world, leaving only the sound of their breathing. What do you want to know? Alexander sat on the sofa, his tone calm but with ascertained caution hidden in it. I want to know, how do you feel about me? Am I just some kind of replacement for you? Haley mustered up all her courage. I saw the photo in your study. She looks a lot like me. The room fell silent for a moment. Alexander lowered his head and remained silent for a long time. Outside, the wind rustled against the window, making a soft rustling sound. After a long moment, he finally looked up, his eyes filled with pain and honesty. You're right, you look a lot like her. When I first saw you, I almost thought she was back. She was honestly me closest person, but she's also the biggest regret of my life. Why did she leave? Haley asked in a low voice. We separated because of a wrong decision. I was so busy with my career back then that I neglected her feelings. Later, she got embroiled in a business dispute she shouldn't have been involved in and disappeared. Alexander said in a hoarse voice. I searched for her for a long time, but there was no news. Haley's heart tightened. So, do you love me? Or do you just miss her? Alexander looked at her deeply, with tears in his eyes. He slowly stood up, walked to her, and gently held her shoulders with both hands. At first, I couldn't tell. He thought I was just trying to grasp a familiar feeling, but during the days I've been with you, your kindness, strength, and stubbornness have become an indispensable part of my life. My care for you has nothing to do with her anymore. He paused, then said solemnly, if one day you want to leave, I won't selfishly keep you, but as long as you're here, I'll use all my strength to protect you, even if it means making the whole world my enemy. Tears welled up in Haley's eyes. She had always worried that she was just a continuation of some shadow, and now Thatch had finally heard the answer shouted. Her heart was even more broken. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? She choked. I'm afraid of losing you, Alexander whispered. The shadow of the past is too heavy. I'm afraid the truth will make you go further. The two embraced each other, their heartbeats intertwined into a lorrequiem. The world outside the room was still cold, but their temperature rose little by little. That night, the atmosphere in the villa was as quiet as ever. Alexander and Haley sat in silence, yet they protected each other. Near midnight, Eric suddenly knocked on the study door, his face grim. Sir, Richard sent Suminado delivered this document, he said, handing a black envelope to Alexander. Alexander opened the envelope, his face gradually turning livid. Inside was an anonymous report pointing to Ada's appearance at a nightclub years ago. The report included Haley's name and a photo of her working at the nightclub. What exactly does Richard want to do? Alexander asked in a deep voice. He's investigating Haley. And he's also using this opportunity to pressure you, Eric whispered. Our people have found out these leaked information to the police and the media. If we don't handle this well, there will soon more rumors and trouble. Haley's heart suddenly tightened. What does he want? He wants me to compromise and give up my latest project, and he wants to use you to force me to give in. Alexander comforted her. Don't be afraid, I won't let him succeed. Late at night, Haley returned to her room, her thoughts even more confused. She opened her bedside drawer and dug out the torn letter she'd found in the basement. The letter's contents matched the details in the report. The missing waitress in the old nightclub case was inextricably linked to Alexander's ex-girlfriend. Could this be the secret Richard has been pursuing? She murmured to herself, with an unprecedented fear rising in her heart. She mustered up the courage to call Tina. Do you remember the disappearance at the nightclub and the mysterious waitress? Tina was silent for a long time on the other end of the phone before, she whispered. I remember, for many years, the police never found the truth, but I always suspected that the case was Relateto, the big man behind the nightclub. I have evidence now, but I didn't know how to use it. Haley's voice trembled. You have to be careful and don't get yourself trapped. Richard and Alexander are not ordinary people, and their war is not something you can bear, Tina warned. After hanging up the phone, Haley sat in the dark for a long time, until a ray of light appeared in the east. The next morning, Alexander knocked in her door with a frankness and tenderness he had never shown before. No matter what happens today, I hope you will trust me, I will protect you, and please protect yourself. Haley nodded, feeling both warm and worried. During breakfast, news suddenly broke out the police are about to reopen the investigation into the nightclub disappearing case. Richard accepted the interview as a messenger of justice, and his words hinted at the deep relationship between Alexander and the nightclub. The atmosphere in the villa suddenly became tense. Eric kept talking on the phone with the outside world. Alexander paced back and forth in the study, and Haley felt for the first time Thatch was at the center of the vortex. Linda took her hand and whispered, "Don't be afraid, you won't be alone with us." Haley nodded, but made up her mind. If this storm could not be avoided, she would rather choose to fight alongside Alexander than be a protected shadow.
Please stay tuned for the next episode.
See you there.